we live?
We're live. Should be.
Welcome to the Pixel Scandal Nerdcast, where we're going to talk a little bit about Star Wars and probably some bullshit that we did recently. Uh,
Matt, do we have an outro?
Matt's not here,
Matt is not with us
Oh,
but
today.
you know who we do have? We've got Orestez, Gidget,
hello.
Hi.
Night Sun,
Yo.
and End of Line.
Hello.
And I'm Kurt. Welcome.
Welcome. So, Tyler, do we have any upcoming announcements?
I don't know. Do we?
Well, tomorrow,
Well,
2 p.m., we're playing Zombie Prom.
oh, right. Tomorrow's zombie
Wow.
prom. I'm not a part of that, so I don't care.
That was Monster
Um,
Prom.
Yeah, so now we're only allowed to date zombies, is apparently the.
I asked Kurt what it was called, and he said zombie.
No, I said Monster Prom.
It's
and you're both
Monster
wrong.
Hearts. It's the Monster Hearts visual novel. It's fine.
It's Monster Prom.
And I keep reading monster porn every single time.
It's Monster Prom, guys.
Monster porn.
You see it
always-
enough times on the internet, that's all you see.
Yep.
It's
Monster
always
porn or just the word porn?
Monster
Can it be both?
Prom.
Yes.
I don't know what your search criteria is.
Called Monster Prom.
So, the other thing we have coming up is our next Dungeon World game, which is scheduled for Friday, May 25th at 6 p.m. And we will be playing episode 2.
It was totally easy to get that date.
Yeah, that was an easy thing to schedule. Totally, guys.
Day before
Yeah.
Murderville.
Hopefully,
Oh, yes. Oh, that's right. It is right the day before
We should
Murderville.
maybe not call it Murderville on stream.
No, we should totally call it Murderville because
I
it
feel
is
like
a
maybe we
Murderville.
can talk about Murderville Con or Westworld Con post
Post MurderCon. Okay.
MurderCon. We'll talk about it after.
Well,
Uh,
depending on whether or not we need the authorities to know about it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yes, so we're going to be playing on a Friday night, which will not be common for us, but it is hopefully a one-time Friday night thing, and then we'll be on Saturday morning, going forward, once a month.
Yeah.
Which I think we've established is going to be the second Saturday of the month at 9 a.m. We will be streaming as regularly as possible starting in June on the second Saturday of the month. Try
Cool.
to get some
Hooray.
guys. Yeah. So what is everybody excited about? Anything?
MurderCon. Let's talk about Murder. No, just kidding.
I'm
I am excited
excited.
about that.
I'm pretty excited about playing Kingdom Death later.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's gonna be
We're
awesome.
all gonna get together IRL. Like, who wants to talk about it? Because I actually don't really know a lot about what this is that we're doing. All I know is that it comes in a box.
It's
Lots of
breakout
minis.
box.
Lots
Lots
of
of
minis.
minis that are not assembled yet. They will be. They will be eventually. We only need 5 for today, so that's fine. I don't know. It's a board game that's kind of like it's got elements of like Monster Hunter. If you played that, if you haven't, you should. It's amazing. The new one, anyways, Monster Hunter World's really good. Um, and then it's like settlement building, resource management, kind of like a not crappy version of Catan. Um,
Hey, I like
but
Catan.
you
Well,
would.
well, I think the big thing about it is it's your bunch of heroes go out and fight monsters. Except these bunch of heroes get killed really easily because the monsters are horrible and don't play fair.
Hmm.
And you take a step back, and rather than controlling heroes like you would in your standard tabletop or pen and paper game, you more as a team control the community, the settlement, and because your people will die, and you're going to have to replace them with other people.
Yeah.
And I still love that one quote where man, I wish I could find it real quick. Did I put it in here? Probably didn't. I don't know where I put it.
Facebook.
How do they die though?
Oh, that's
Like, is it natural occurrences? Like, there's a plague and.
Everybody is
It
dysentery.
can be. It can be. There are events that happen during the settlement phase.
Oh, okay.
Um, I mean, so there's different phases. There's like the showdown phase, which is the fight against the monster. That's your boss fight, where it's like, hey, we tracked this guy down, let's get him. And then you fight, and there's probably about a 70% chance that the monster will kill you at any given time. And then there's the settlement phase, which is like, okay, we made it back to town. Um, let's do like weird settlement events. There's probably about a 20% chance that any one of those settlement events will kill you. And then there's the hunt phase, which is like, all right, let's go hunt after a specific monster so that we can,
That's the
you know,
adventuring phase.
farm it. Huh? That's the
That's
what?
the adventuring phase.
Yeah,
You
Sort of,
kind of.
yeah.
Yeah, there's like a board, but there's still about a 30% chance that you will die on the hunt. So if you add that all together, there's about a 120% chance that you're gonna die at some point during the game.
So I found it. And this is an excerpt from the manual. If conflicts arise that slow or halt a play session completely, use the rule of death. Always rule against the survivor. Kingdom Death is a dangerous place, and the survivor's future is bleak. Make sure that any ambiguities, Jesus.
Use your words.
Well, the problem is I'm trying to use his words. Resolve against the survivor's favor. So if you're ever not sure about a ruling, whatever one makes the situation worse, that's the one you go for.
Yeah, so just
Okay.
take it. Just take it. It's like, oh man, I really don't want to take 3 damages. Is there any way I can get around it? No, because if you do, you're just gonna die.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's
cool.
it's definitely got like the Dark Souls or roguelike field of, yeah, it's about, your individual survivors are probably going to die repeatedly, but your community gets better over time and gets better gear, and you try to continue to push forward with that.
Yeah, and then the combat is actually kind of interesting once you unlock like weapon skills and whatnot, like the ability to use different weapons other than a rock. Because each one of the weapons kind of has different abilities attached to them. Like I think the hammer, if you get a critical hit on a monster, you can like stun it, and then like the whip is kind of like a taunt. Like I think it's got reach, but every time you hit the monster with the whip, you gain the priority target thing. So the monster's like, I'm gonna go over there and murder you right now. So it's like a tank weapon, which is kind of interesting.
Collaborative.
Well, I love literally the game starts off in a showdown. Like literally survivors versus your first boss. Kind of your tutorial combat. But you literally are wearing a loincloth and you have a rock.
Yep.
That's it. Good luck.
Nice. Very nice.
And if you choose to throw your rock is gone. You don't get another one.
Or arrow.
It's not a rocket
But-
return.
But it's a very special rock because it's an auto hit and a guaranteed wound. So my strategy is to hold onto my rock for about 25 years and then use it on the end boss.
Nice.
That's awesome.
We're just all gonna put our rocks in a bag, not fight anything, and wait till the end.
Alpha strike the end boss and 5 wounds right off the bat.
Right off. Guys, we're gonna go on a rock clean. We gotta go collect rocks.
Yeah.
It's very important.
I got a rock.
Very important to the mission here.
Something else I'm kind of excited about, since this is our Star Wars episode, is Solo coming out soon. And it's not for the reason you think. Or maybe it is. It's because Donald Glover is fucking Lando Calrissian. And he looks like... I'm so excited to see young Lando howling around.
Lando's a
Yeah.
jerk, though.
Yeah, but
a
he's such a
traitor.
good jerk. He's like an awesome jerk.
But this is like before he's a traitor, so he's just gonna be like
Spoilers, you just spoiled Star Wars for people.
slimy and right? Because we're gonna talk all about Star Wars today. I hope people have seen it.
Now, the big question, though, is after he gained his Star Wars fame, will Donald Glover take over Billy D's role as the spokesperson for Colt 45?
Oh, I hope so.
He's not already.
We can all
Will we see a
hope.
resurgence of that fabulous brand?
Yeah. Well, something I'm excited about is that we will be going to the Pasadena Renaissance Pleasure Fair next weekend.
Oh yeah.
And
Pleasure fair?
yeah, the Renaissance.
Yeah, it's
That's what it's called. It's called the Renaissance Pleasure
They have a
Yeah,
fish.
it's-
They have a fish bowl full of keys at the entrance.
That's literally
That's
for
not
some
the
reason
point.
they've
We're
added
not
that to a lot
participating.
of Renaissance Fair titles lately,
That's weird.
past couple years, and I've always found it very odd.
That is extremely odd.
Called the original Renaissance Festival. Yeah, so we'll be in Pasadena next weekend, going to that. And we will also be attending, in true nerdiness style, the King Tut exhibit at the California Science Center in
Will
Los
that also
Angeles.
be in costume?
Yes, we will also be going to the King Tut Museum. Uh, the Endeavor and just kind of do the whole science museum tour next
Yeah.
weekend.
King Tut.
If
Yeah.
you get cursed, please don't share it with the group.
You know, I really want to find. I'm not gonna say it. That's an inside joke. I'm gonna talk about getting a magic bowl, but that's too inside baseball. Anyway. Okay. Well, what has everyone been playing recently?
You know
Uh,
full well.
I was there, but our audience wasn't.
I mean, we played some Dungeon World last week.
Did we?
Yeah.
Did we do that?
That was pretty fun.
Is that a thing we did?
Yeah, we played that last week on stream.
I'm pretty sure I won too.
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah.
you didn't get the most wonderful hat yet, so
I'm pretty sure Forrest won the chat on on that. The chat is definitely in love with Forrest,
yeah, they really like
which is
Forest a lot.
Handor.
That's
Um,
because
I
he's new, so he put all of his flavor right up front, where the rest of
Mhm.
us are more experienced. So we like the slow burn of character development, where
Fair.
he's just like, bam, exposition bomb right up front, and it's like, okay, dude, that's great right now, but in 10 games from now, you're gonna be like, I don't have anything to do. I'm so boring.
I don't have any new character development to add.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited that uh, we had some behind the scenes stuff that we had to discuss the different secrets that came up in the game that I knew about Areztez's character and Nightsa knew about my character, and so we kind of talked those out and came up with what those were going to be.
I
So
know
I
what
think
the secret is. I know what the secret.
you do. You know
Which
all the
one?
secrets.
I was like, which
All
one
of
is it?
them. I know all the secrets.
As the producer of the show,
Yeah,
he
I,
has.
I get to know
Yeah.
all the things.
Is it a secret to everybody?
Yes.
No.
It's kind of interesting. I also know all the secrets because I know the secret I told and the secret I know
Mhm.
from Mike's character. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited for the game just because of the character development gone on behind the scenes. That's going to make, I think, the role playing more um,
Yeah.
rich and exciting to play. And I actually enjoy Dungeon World. I don't know about you guys. What do you
Yeah.
think of the system?
It's a little weird that the game started off as a Team Fortress 2 hat farm, but
Well, see, I've learned from years and years of video games that the way to make a game interesting is hat.
yes.
Yeah. It's all about engagement, and you
Yep.
Right
got
off
that.
the bat, we're on the hat hunt for
You
hats.
get the best hat,
And you found a hat,
Yeah.
and it attacks.
well,
And it
you
attacks you.
crush the hat.
Yeah.
You destroy.
It's very
It
sad.
wasn't.
And
It
look what
wasn't.
happened to you. You
It wasn't
regretted
good
it.
enough for Badass Billy. He deserves more than a fez.
Yeah,
Had you
absolutely.
said it was a fedora, I would have let him have it.
Right? Exactly. Because it was a fez. I mean, if you watch Doctor Who, fezzes are cool now, but
Uh,
that was like 3 years ago.
Still, it's not David Tennant. Doesn't count.
I agree with you completely. So, Kurt, as the GM, how did you play?
Well, there were definitely some things I wanted to do that I didn't get around to. Because it was a shorter timetable than I'm used to for doing Dungeon World. I think we ended at about 3 hours, and I usually 4 hours with Dungeon World. And there were some world building things that I was hoping to, but sort of like it I don't know it. We're definitely going to do some more questioning of the players at the beginning of the next session.
Cool. So, more like character development, more world building, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right. Cool. What else have we been playing, guys?
A lot of World of Warcraft still.
All the wow.
World of
A
Warcraft.
little bit of World of Warcraft.
Some more than others. That's
Yes.
about it. It's all I've had time to play, really.
We played Castle Crashers again last Sunday as our live stream, and I don't know. How do you guys feel that went?
It has a lot of cock block moments, like just hard stops. Like,
I think it
Well, you
scales
better-
weird for 4 people.
yeah,
It,
Yeah,
it,
that could
it
be-
almost feels like an RPG where we got to a point where it could also be that we're terrible at the game. I mean, I'm not gonna say that's not the case. It's possible.
You're
But-
really good at getting money.
I'm very good at the monies, but it feels like we got to a point where we can't proceed, and we literally need to farm levels or something.
Right. I mean, we were
Yeah.
having difficult time getting past like that last level, and then we went back, did a level, got a little bit more money and gear, and came back and were able to finish it. So
Yeah.
it definitely felt like we had to do some farming
Which
to finish.
If that's how it's intended, that's not like crazy, but it's just I don't remember it being like that when I played through myself. I just kind of went through the game,
Right.
but that was a
Yeah,
long time ago.
I'm pretty terrible at that game. Not gonna lie.
I
It's,
think a lot of that has to do with your class choice. I was reading up on that actually. Your class is considered to be like I think it's like a D.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's
D
shooting
class.
rainbows and throwing penguins at
Ah,
people.
no, he's
Yeah.
shooting visual noise. That's what his weapon is. Visual noise,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, that does not affect our enemies.
It's real bad, guys.
I mean, it's basically End of Line's character in our home RPG game. Like he's shooting rainbows, he's throwing cute monsters at people.
Yeah, but in our RPG game, I have that filter where I don't see my ally spell effects, and it doesn't get in the way of me seeing where I'm moving or
Yeah.
doing it.
Every 30 seconds in that game, you're internally saying in your head, "Where is my fucking character on the screen? Like
Oh,
where
you managed to make it 30
where
seconds?
am I?" Yeah.
I would move myself in the general vicinity of a pile of mobs and just spam attack until I'd notice, oh, there I am. Never mind. Okay, let's readjust and let's repeat this process.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a
Yeah.
cool game.
Exactly. But it's still fun. I mean, I think it goes back to the thing we were talking about in a couple of podcasts ago when we're talking about like learning and failing and playing a game again and even still having fun at it. I think, for the most part, even though we were failing at it and we had to keep restarting, it was still fun and enjoyable, even though we were having to beat our heads against the wall to try to get through the same level over and over again.
And this honestly could have been not looking, but I think it could have used a difficulty slider because,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to couch co-op games, you definitely want the option to just say, no, we just want to steamroll it. We are looking to go into this game, 4 of us. We don't want to invest 100 hours into leveling up and playing this and becoming masters of this game. No, we're 4 people. We want to sit. We want to have fun. The end.
Yeah, because
And
the content's funny and it's
the
enjoyable.
content's enjoyable.
We just want to experience it and play through it.
yeah.
Like I
Right.
appreciate the challenge. It should be there, but
Oh yeah, and
we
I
don't
definitely agree.
care.
In the same note, there should be difficulty.
Yeah.
It's like, no. This game is awesome. I want to invest the time. I want to become a pro casual crasher player, and go and compete in esports events for Castle Crashers. By all means, have that difficulty slider go up too. But in a game like the side scroller beat 'em up is, even though it is not directly a couch co-op game, I don't even know if you can fit 4 people on the same device with it. You might be able to. I have no idea. We didn't look into it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a game that you're like, here, my nephew, here, my kid, come and
Mhm.
play this with us. And you need to be able to have someone whose skill set. Nope. Is not up to par.
Wow.
Play as well.
Subtle.
Well, the problem was I don't see that I'm flipped on yours, so
So you're just poking the air.
Poking the air. I'll eventually get it one way or the other.
Pointing to the wall.
And I have to minimize the video, so
Okay. Yeah, Kurt's not seeing any of the visual gags here.
Yeah.
he was on fire.
That was Nightsun pointing at you when he was saying that you're terrible at the game.
I'm fucking terrible at the game. Like
I'm telling you, it's because you're playing the Pink Knight. If I played the Pink Knight, I would be winning all the time.
And well, the other problem is, of course, it's a lose more game as opposed to a win more game. Where if you fall behind, you are no longer doing any damage, and you are no longer getting XP. So you start falling even further and further and further behind until you can't get XP anymore because you just can't get any hits or kills or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's real bad, guys.
And chat is suggesting that Divinity is the best couch co-op RPG game.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
I just started that a couple days ago.
Players,
Really cool.
The problem with Divinity is it takes hours and hours of time to get even a little bitty thing done in that game. But yes,
Best part about
agreeable.
Divinity
It's an amazing freaking game.
is when you start as a rogue, and then you just go to the first town and sneak around, and still everybody's painting. You get so much money. You can buy everything.
I've been playing Lone Wolf on that game simply for the fact that I don't have anyone to play with and I don't want to manage 4 characters. But
If you play couch co-op, you can go Lone Wolf and just have the second player manage the hirelings, and you still get credit for it. You still have the full party. It's just like,
Have the old what was it, the Imoen spotter, where you would use Imoen in Baldur's Gate 2 stealth to walk up, find all the bad guys, stand in the middle of them with her rogue evasion, and start chucking fireballs at her from down the hallway.
oh, as a target,
Yeah,
siphon them
He was
for
really
all the
good at
max dodge.
that's where you got that strategy for 3-5 when we first started playing.
Max evasion, eat fireballs, become a fireball
First
pillar.
time I ever played D&D with Gordon, I was on a monk, and he was just like, fuck it, throw a fireball at him. I was like, wait, what? He's like, you have evasion, it's fine. I was like, that's true. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's fine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
Nightsun needs to play that
lastly,
game.
On the things that I've been playing, I did play League of Legends this week for one reason and one reason only, and it was
Somebody had a gun to your head.
no.
well, technically they did.
Technically they did.
They released a BMO skin.
They released a BMO skin. Timo dressed as a bee, and I had to have it, guys. I couldn't live without it. So
Yeah.
I logged in.
You were talking about a BMO skin like from Adventure Time.
No.
Like that's a weird crossover, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, he looks like a bee, and instead of what is the base one? Mushrooms. I have all the skins, so the base one's mushrooms. He puts out little beehives that explode into honey when someone hits it. So it looks like everybody's covered in honey. And then when you hit somebody with your blind power, there's like flowers that fly around in your face and you can't see, which is kind of
Congratulations,
cool.
you
It's
won.
adorable. Gotta have all the Timo skins.
In general, their creativity when it comes to Timo is actually pretty decent. They
It's
tend
really
to do a
good.
good job with keeping to the theme of the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the beehive and the honey, like it's brilliant. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I feel like they kind of miss on a lot of those like skins.
You're just
where-
pissed because they never did a really creative Amumu skin.
I am super pissed.
There's so
I
many,
saw,
so much creativity that could have been had with Amumu that they missed out on.
I saw a fan base skin for Amumu early on, Spider-Man Amumu, and I was like, holy shit, this is perfect. But of course, we can't have the Marvel League of Legends crossover. I don't know,
Yeah.
Disney buy Riot?
Buying everything else, why not?
Yeah, after they came out with Arcade Sona, I was like, I don't really need any other skins ever again. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you hit the speed boost on him, he stops walking and he starts flying, and his little bee arms start bee wings start flapping in the back. So cute.
It's adorable.
Yeah, I had to log on and do that last night. So anyway, so let's move on to our spotlight topic.
Oh yeah.
Today we're going to talk about Star Wars.
Space
Because
fights.
yesterday was space fights, the ultimate fights.
Space
yesterday-
Wizards, Dungeons and Dragons movies.
Yes. Yesterday was May the 4th be with you, and coming up in a couple weeks, the new Han Solo movie is coming out.
Oh dear
Oh,
Lord! So
that's
I kept seeing that
responsibility
Star
day.
Wars Day, and I'm like, Star Wars Day. I look down, and I see it's May, and for some reason I got it crossed in my head that I was thinking Pi Day. I was like, no, that was months ago. I don't know what everyone's going on about it being Star Wars Day.
There's just too many nerd reference days now. You can't
There's
keep
too
it straight.
many.
Yeah, there's
I
a one day
I
every
need
other.
a nerd calendar or something. Just
I'm sure that exists.
There should be one. Let's make a
I
Pixel Scandal branded nerd.
I am sure that exists already.
You know, in your phone, you can turn off or turn on like U.S. holidays or like other countries' holidays. There should be like nerd holidays. You can just like turn on in your phone and it'll pop up like today's Pi Day.
Today
or-
is Oracle Database Administration Day.
can I submit them to HR to get a couple extra days off?
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite posts was a picture of a stormtrooper at a desk, and it was like, "That's a Jedi holiday. Some people have to work today."
Right? That's so great. That's my favorite. So, where do you want to start on this topic, Kurt?
So talking Star Wars. So, I mean, not that our meager audience will fall into this category, but I do know a few people that aren't as initiated into fandoms and things as we are, and so I wanted to start off by explaining what canon means, because we're probably going to say that word a lot as we talk about Star Wars.
It's the thing that they take all the interesting stuff about Star Wars and they cram it all in there and then they launch it into space and it doesn't exist.
They shoot it
That
off
is what
into the
canon
ocean.
means.
Put all the good stuff into the canon and they shoot it into space.
Yeah. So canon, as it refers to a fiction or a mythology or anything really, it's technically a biblical word. It refers to a group of sacred texts which are considered authentic. So, in like, if you're referring to the Bible, if there were that were supposed to go in the Bible, but there's only the ones that are actual Bible that everybody has in their hand, those are the canon books of the Bible. That's where the word comes from. But it gets used for fiction because there are lots of fan creations or things get put out and then later in a direction we don't want to go. That's not canon, right? That's not part of the universe that we're. So a while back, Disney bought Star Wars, which I'm sure everyone is aware of, and said, "All right, there were tons of books, like more than you could ever read, unless you were, I don't know, a crazy person maybe.
Had all the time in the world.
But there was so much content for Star Wars out there, between books and comics and games and things like that, that when Disney bought it, they just said, fuck all your canon, it's gone. We're going to call that Legends now. And the only thing that's canon are the movies, any books that are released after we bought you, which was April 25th, 2014. The Rebels cartoon and the Clone Wars cartoon are still considered canon. And then, the comic books that have been released since they bought them.
Now, aren't technically the SWTOR universe also canon?
I don't. So from what I could tell, the video game universe is not technically canon, as far as Disney is concerned.
That's bullshit.
So all the best stuff about Star Wars is not canon. And by all the best stuff, in my opinion, I mean all of the Darth Bane stuff and that one book that was written by Salvatore where they killed Chewbacca by crushing him with a moon.
Yeah, see, that stuff is now considered legend.
That's actually the only way to kill Chewbacca.
Yeah, with a moon.
That's why he's still in. They can never kill him off in the new movies because it is only a moon. It's actually in his contract.
Oh, Kurt died.
Okay.
All right, am I still here?
Oh, all the Gibsons.
All right, are we still in the same order?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woo, that was fun.
Well, good news, guys. Nope, my CPU's still on fire. Nope, that did not help. All right.
Everyone, the slime is flowing again.
yeah, so
Who's
when you,
Admiral Purple Hair?
Admiral Purple Hair? What are we talking about?
Um, Brad was saying so. Admiral Thrawn is out, but Admiral Purple Hair is.
Thrawn is
embraced.
still in. So a lot of the old Legends material has been brought back in the comics and in like the Rebels cartoon. So the last few episodes, spoiler, if you haven't seen Clone Wars, I'm gonna spoil some shit towards the end. Definitely watch it though. They made base canon again.
Pause this video. Go watch 3 seasons of cartoons, and then come back.
No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
6 seasons of 22 episodes.
We may or may not be here when you get back. Probably
Yeah.
not.
Don't worry, you'll catch it in the pods. They made Bane canon again, and Rebels made Thrawn canon again.
Yeah.
Not exactly the way they were in the books, but still they brought them back into the universe so they can do stuff. And in fact, a lot of the really interesting canon stuff has been added in the cartoons because it's like more low risk, I guess. So
So the Thrawn are like a race or something?
no, Thrawn is a dude.
Yes.
He's a Chiss. The General Thrawn. He's the only non-human Imperial officer.
Have they brought back the Cenobites yet? The Yuzhan Vong, the Cenobites from the outer edges of
No, and I
space?
can't imagine they will because Space AIDS doesn't seem very Disney.
What? It's the only way to remove Jedi powers. It's the only way to remove
You've
the
seen
midichlorians
E.T..
out of the Bloods.
Actually, you can negate Jedi powers with these silly little green lizards. And Thrawn has them in the cartoon, but they don't talk about it. He's got them on his shoulder.
I still like the space Cenobites and the space aids and all that good stuff.
And if anybody's on the fence on whether or not they want to like make the effort to go in and watch those 2 cartoons, the Clone Wars and the Rebels, I was very skeptical that they would actually be entertaining or good because I don't know why, I just didn't think they'd be very good, and they actually turned out to be really great. And I only caught probably every 3rd episode or so that Kurt was watching, but the ones I saw were really great, and I kind of regret that I didn't watch the whole thing with him. So
Unfortunately,
And now they're
they were
gone.
one-time viewing only.
Yep, they're gone now.
And they're gone.
I've
Forever.
seen enough of it to know the whole story. I'm not gonna go back and watch the in between episodes.
It's just filler now.
Yeah, now it would just be like, oh, that's why that made sense, instead of going, well, I think we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
And yes, Brad, they are kind of written for a mixed age audience. I feel like they're very appropriate for kids because the stuff that is more serious goes over their head.
Yeah.
I think when we originally started watching, our kid was on the younger side, and there was some stuff that we were like, oh my gosh. And he's like, what, guys? But it wasn't important for him to understand that piece, to understand the plot of the episode, but it made it more entertaining for the adults. It's kind of like watching the Muppets, where there's like dirty jokes mixed in, but the kids don't understand there's dirty jokes with the Muppets. It's kind of like that, where there's like
Shrek.
right, like there's things that you care about. There's death. There's some really dark stuff in there, but they do it in such a way that's like the adults get what's going on, but the kids don't. So then it's
Right.
it's entertaining to all audiences without there. Yeah, it's really good. It's a I really
Only partial nudity, I'm out.
I know. So, yeah, there's only partial nudity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good
It's
mixed age.
Is it as good as Avatar?
The Last
Um,
Airbender.
The
Honestly,
good
I
Avatar,
thought
not
The
the
Last
shit.
Airbender was the best cartoon like series that has been made.
Yeah, that is true.
Fight me, I guess. I mean, someone's probably going to come out and name some anime, but
Well, it's funny you should bring that up because I was going to bring a baseball bat over to your house later. Just
hey, yeah. I mean, if you
Come fight me. No,
send,
but I
at me on Twitter.
I think we watched the Clone Wars, which was on Cartoon Network, right?
Yeah.
Which was a little dark, like darker, a little more adult. I was a little worried about Rebels being a little too kiddie because it was on Disney Channel. And I would say that there definitely are episodes in there that are like, oh, this feels like a cartoon for kids. But the majority, and even more so towards the end of the series, it gets darker and it gets a lot more all audience feel to it.
well, in
So
fairness, Disney does have a history of cartoons with mixed themes. like
Mhm.
hell, gargoyles from our youth.
Right. Right. So yeah, enjoyable for all audiences.
Yeah, I mean the Clone Wars really put into perspective the prequels. Like after watching
Mhm.
all of the Clone Wars, I could go back and kind of and not hate the prequels. This the
I
first
can't
one's
use
still
the word
pretty trash,
enjoy.
but the second and the third, especially the third one, because you're suddenly invested in Anakin after 6 seasons of Clone Wars because the Anakin's
Yeah,
the main character and he's
definitely.
not the whiny little bitch that he is in the movies. And so you become invested in Anakin over the course of these 6 seasons, and then you go back and you watch the third movie and suddenly you kind of care. Like the acting's still pretty shitty, but you care what happens to this character because you're now invested in it. I don't
So
know.
it's sort of like when they replace a character on a show you like, and you hate that actor's rendition of your character.
Right.
Yeah,
You're
that's
like, if we
exactly.
could just get the guy who voiced him to come back and redo the third movie, that'd be great.
No, seriously, I feel like after watching Clone Wars, a lot of the motivation behind Anakin made a lot more sense
Mm-hmm.
in the movies. And it, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I completely agree
you
with
get a lot
that.
of character development there, and it really sort of saves the.
And I think it really builds the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan so that
Mm-hmm.
it's more of that like father son
Like you
best
care
friend
when
relationship.
they get in a fight. Like it, yeah, it really changed the whole movie for me.
Definitely. Clone Wars was amazing. I mean, even if you don't go back and watch Rebels, Clone Wars, it was really good. So
So something else on my list here is Solo and other Star Wars stories. So I'm really curious of you guys, like what how do you feel about these extra Star Wars stories that they're putting out?
like the in between ones.
Yeah, like Rogue One, the Solo movie.
Well, one of the key things of a strong universe is that you always get hints that there's stories or tales or something bigger.
Mhm.
You are narrow, laser focused on a very specific event or series of events or characters, but there's always who's that guy? What's his story? He might be interesting.
Mhm.
Or in the case of Star Wars, where it's literally a universe, hundreds of planets, thousands of planets. Any one of them could have any number of stories that are set in this universe. And the question just at that point is the universe interesting enough to support itself without hinging on Space Jesus and his laser sword?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see more stories about like I want to see like the Maz Kanata movie, right? Like what is she seems like she had some interesting shit going on.
Oh yeah.
I want to know what's up with her.
Who was
Uh
that? Sorry.
Maz Kanata is from the new movies. She's the little chick with the big goggle
The girl,
thing.
She
the
owned
girl
the
Yoda.
cantina, right?
Yeah.
It's the girl Yoda.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a perfect example, though, of a character that you can tell has a huge, extensive story attached to her
Right.
that we just touch on for 3 seconds.
I'd love to
They're
see
definitely gonna do something with that character. Like 100%.
they have to. I mean, something else I'd really love to see is like a bounty hunter movie, like with
How
a bunch
that
of
hasn't happened is confusing as hell, given the
Where it's
fandom behind
all
Boba
just
Fett.
Mandalorians, or
well, no, like oh shit, I forgot the name. What's the name of the robot?
IG-88 or Forlom?
IG-88.
AK-47.
IG-88, otherwise known as the robot without feet.
Yes. Yeah. I want to see I want to see like his story, right? I want to see them running around doing like him and Boba Fett and all and uh Bosk and stuff, like running around doing
Which
uh
was the which was the robot from SWTOR that just called all the humans in meatbags?
Oh,
Or the one, or even the one from
oh my God! Why is that escaping me right now?
I thought it
even the
started with a
one
K.
from Revens in the Old Republic MMO. That guy was even
go to the Google
acceptable.
machine because it'll light my computer on fire.
Okay,
My computer is trash.
SWTOR robot.
Yeah, something like HK-47 or something.
HK-47. That's the one.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy. That guy's
Like,
awesome.
tell us stories about that. Fuck, I want to see a Bane movie. I want to see an old Republic. I want to see those 3 books turn into a badass trilogy.
That would be awesome. See, my problem with the new Star Wars is I'm definitely, if you know me, more of a Sith guy.
Yeah,
And in the new movies, Adam Driver just doesn't do it. Like, why? He's not menacing.
He's
He's
not
dangerous
supposed to
or
be though.
threatening.
That's the whole
Yeah,
thing
but
is he's supposed to
Why
be
is
bordering
if
between.
there's only two, like the rule of two, why is he? Why are they focusing on him? He's not a threat. He's like a wuss. Like Finn, the only non-Jedi character to ever wield a lightsaber, was like fighting him off. That's not
Yeah,
impressive at all.
we want a Vader. We're getting an Anakin.
Yeah,
Is I think basically.
My
basic.
my
Well,
understanding between that is it's not like you have like 30 people with the Force like that are Force sensitive like interviewing for the job. Like
yeah,
you only
he took.
have so many to pick from, and apparently he's really strong. But the weakness in him, I think, is what makes that the only reason that honestly, for a non-Star Wars fan, it was the only thing interesting about the characters was the fact that he was kind of walking that path between. You could see that he hadn't quite completely committed to the dark side yet, and so
Yeah.
that's why he has that. I mean, you could perceive it as weakness because that's how it exposes it. But I think that was what made that character interesting. I'm not gonna
Well,
say that I love the person playing him, but I certainly understand the method between having him conflicted like that.
and I'll agree those traits make him a better character.
Yeah.
He makes it him a more interesting or sympathetic character that he's not necessarily a bad guy, he's not necessarily a good guy. He is someone you could empathize with his struggles and whatnot. But historically, in a lot of Star Wars, it's been known for its villains, and I don't feel that the new series has given us a strong villain yet.
But I think
Yeah,
that's gonna happen now. Like they dropped hints in the last movie about him murdering all the people on the island, right? Like he killed
Yeah.
the other. Like now you know, yeah, he's teetering on this path, and but yeah, he's murdered innocent people. He's definitely he's. It's not about if he's evil or good. He's clearly evil. He's just not like gone full evil. Like he hasn't been like, there's no humanity left. I'm completely done. This is what's gonna happen. But I think in the next, I have a feeling in the next one, they're not gonna walk that line anymore. I think it's very clear now that he's like, I'm committed to this. This is what's gonna happen, and this is who I am
right.
now.
I don't know. I don't know if you guys have seen if you guys are James Bond fans or not. But when you watch the first Daniel Craig James Bond movie, he doesn't feel like James Bond throughout the whole thing. Like he's super, he's super aggressive. He's super like
He's still a rookie.
he's a rookie, right? He's playing this rookie character, and the
Yeah.
whole time I was like, I don't think I like this. Like I couldn't get behind Daniel Craig as James Bond. And then there's this like chunk at the last 15 minutes, right after he's completed his mission, and they show him in the suit, and he's looking suave, and he is James Bond, right? And I think they're trying to do something like that, but they're taking too fucking long. And like my patience is worn thin, and I want Darth Vader back. Like I want him to be James Bond yet
Well,
already.
But even
they've
Darth
already
Vader wasn't super evil. Like, really, think about it. Darth Vader wasn't clearly super overtly evil.
killing your underlings because they screw up lightly. I think that puts you in the puppy kicking category.
Yeah, he's pretty fucking evil. Like, I mean, if you read the comics, there's a Darth Vader comic, which is really solid. I recommend it if you like comics. There's a scene where he's fighting Darth Maul or something like that, and he defeats Darth Maul, and he says, where does all this anger come from? Like, who could you hate so much that you have so much anger to draw on for the dark side of the Force? And he just goes, myself, and like he walks off. Like you
it's all emo.
have that yet. Like there's no way.
No
Well,
beer.
Well,
Yeah.
you hit yourself, and you can't cut your wrist because you have robot arms.
Well, like he killed his own children, right? Like he thinks he kicked or his wife, right? At
Right.
least. Like
Yeah.
you can't hate anyone more than you hate yourself at that point.
But the thing is, yeah, and the fact of it taking so long in a 3-movie arc, and they've already established when this is done, they're done with the Skywalker lineage. So
think-
this this character's over. It's gone. So I see it just as likely that they're gonna take this last movie and do a redemption arc of pulling him back from the edge, and
I hope
everyone's
not.
happy. The end. It's a Disney movie.
I hope they take it the other route. I hope he goes full dark side, and I hope Ray has to
They
destroy him.
and they push him off a cliff, and he goes, ah.
Well, he's got to fall. He's got to fall down a hole. It's very important
Yeah.
for consistency.
Die in a pit with no end.
He has to fall into a pit.
In the last movie, though, I mean, his demeanor changed.
Yeah,
Like,
it
when
did.
He decided he was in charge.
Yep.
Well, I think the problem with the new two now is that they've made the bad guy the First Order instead of a specific person. Where, I mean, it was always there was a specific group of people that were the bad guy, but you knew Darth Vader was the bad guy,
Right.
and so was the Emperor. Like, they were the bad guys, and I think they overstressed that the First Order was the bad guy, and then like, oh yeah, okay, there's Phasma and there's Kylo, but that was kind of like a side to the fact that the First Order is the bad guy, right? I think
Can I ask a question? What the fuck is with the Phasma character? Like, that shit got built up to be so fucking, like, it was gonna be integral to the story, and and like nothing happened at all. Like that little bitty fight in the new movie, and then it's done.
For armor.
What the shit, man? What a waste.
Yeah, I was really disappointed with how they treated her in the movies. I mean, that last fight was kind of good, but they never gave her a point where she could make a choice, right? Like, there was her presence never mattered. Other than her
It was
story.
in a completely irrelevant character that did not need to exist. It served no purpose at all to the story or plot. At all. It just didn't need to be there. It's time that could have been used doing something else.
I'm kind of hoping that there's something on the cutting room floor that had her more in it.
Yeah,
It has to be.
It
That
would have
has
been
to
a cool
be.
character.
Yeah,
Like, I think it could have been a really interesting character.
They took away her player agency.
they did.
Yeah.
But no, but going back to what I was saying, I think psychologically, as an audience, we need a bad guy. We need a Freddy Krueger. We need a Darth Vader. We need a
Freddy Krueger in Star Wars. See, I would like that movie.
But we need like a specific bad guy that we look at this face and we say that is the bad guy of this series or this movie, and they've made it this concept, this group of the First Order.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to feel like obviously the rebellion's in danger and there's this war and it's still Star Wars, but it doesn't feel as there isn't a big bad guy for us to hate.
Snoke was totally that guy, right? Like for the 15 minutes of the end of the last movie, you definitely got that from Snoke. You're like, oh, this dude is fucking crazy evil.
Right.
But it was It was like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah,
done.
he was also toppled in.
Yeah. It was just like, oh, here it is. It's like, nope, that's done. Okay, we're moving on.
And I guess even further that point, on the Imperial side, I realized that the First Order or the Empire, all the actual Imperials are supposed to be sniveling underlings who are just there to either allow Vader to be evil or to be incompetent to allow the rebels to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no Tarkin. I feel that like Tarkin was a very strong character in the original series, where he was the one who stood up to Vader. Was like, no, we're doing it this way. I don't care.
Yeah.
And
We both serve the Empire. I don't serve you. Yeah, I agree with that.
I'm kind of moving on with some of our topics we have here. Brad asked earlier this week when Kurt posted a question on Facebook about what people would want to know. Why are there so few Siths? So what is the background of the Sith? Because I know the whole rule of two in that, but I don't think I know. I didn't read the Bane books and all that. So what is some of the background on the Sith?
So-
Why is there only two?
What is the rule of two, though? I mean, I don't know what that is. I'm just kind of curious. If it could be done quickly.
Is
Bane is
actually, you might be able to do it better. Orestes, you might be able to sell it better. No?
I mean, Bane is awesome. That's all I got. I read the books a long time ago, and I was just like, this is a badass Jedi Sith guy. They need to make books about this dude, movies about this dude.
It seems like only having two Sith, it puts you at a great disadvantage. Like leaving a big hole in your Death Star that can be completely destroyed with a single shot.
Let me start. Actually, before we get into why the rule of two is a thing, or actually before we get into what it is, here's why it is. Anyone who's played the BioWare games, the Tales of the Old Republic, you can't trip. You can't walk 5 feet without tripping over 5 Sith. They're everywhere. Everyone's a Sith. There are a whole bunch of Sith all over the place. And the second thing you'll notice about that game, it makes life miserable for that side. It is constant infighting, constant killing each other. Every plot in that game is you are teaming up with someone to kill your master, or killing someone else's master, or killing a bunch of random people because it's Thursday. I don't know how they got as far as they did, because it's constant just chaos.
Yeah. So the reason, so what happened, and I mean, I'll spoil the Bane books if you guys want, but there were a bunch of Sith, and they had kind of gotten together to fight the Jedi, but same reason they had no focus, because there's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Like they couldn't agree on what to do because all of them are self-serving, and so there's no one to kind of like run the show. And so I won't explain how because I don't want to ruin the books too much, but one character decides there's only going to be one Sith and one apprentice, one to have the power and one to crave it. And when this apprentice becomes strong enough, they kill the master. So the master is constantly trying to maintain their strength, and the apprentice is constantly trying to gain strength. So as soon as the apprentice kills their master, they have a new apprentice, and supposedly through process of elimination, you end up with the strongest Sith, because the apprentice is always killing their master if they're not strong enough. So you always have the strongest Sith kind of running the show. And because their abilities are all based in, are shrouded in darkness and secrecy, you don't have all these people with infighting. It's just one core person running the show and then their apprentice. I'm not saying it's a good system, but it's what they came up with to solve that problem. And it is what led to the Emperor, right? Because the Emperor in the old movies, and by the time he was running the show, he basically had the entire galaxy in his hands. Just he got a little focused on one thing, right? So, I mean, it sort of works, I guess, within the fiction. You get the desired result, which is more and more powerful Sith as time goes on. But yeah, so that's what it is. The rule of two is that there is one master and one to have the power and one to crave it. So that's why there's only ever two Sith. Of course, there's tons of apprentices, because every Sith thinks they're going to defeat their master, so they go and get themselves an apprentice, because you need to have one just in case you suddenly become the master. You got to have that apprentice ready. So every time you're watching some Star Wars thing, Sith themselves an apprentice. That's why they think it's time. They're ready. They're about to take on their master, but they got to have an apprentice first. So yeah, that's why there's supposedly two. But of course, there's tons more, because there's all these fucking apprentices down the chain of everybody thinking it's time to bust out the master. So yeah, that's why there's only two Sith.
So they're still like dark side. They're just not considered Jedi because they're not good guys, and they're not considered Sith because
Well,
they're not one of the
Sith
two.
is like a power level. It's
Yeah.
a title given to someone who has access to these greater teachings and greater powers. It's why you don't see the random folks throwing lightning bolts everywhere.
Mhm.
Right, because they don't, once you gain enough, if you knew enough, right, you'd be able to go and either kill the master or the apprentice, and then you would be one of them.
Right.
So,
Yeah, but
if you
I don't
good
know.
enough to take them out.
I think there's got to be different levels, because if I was a Sith and I had all those powers, I would. I mean, if I had all those evil powers, I wouldn't necessarily want to be a Sith, because that's just painting a target on your back.
Well, and even to that point, in the comics and things, the Emperor has a bunch of backup apprentices that aren't considered Sith. Just in case Darth Vader fucks up, he's got like 10 dudes constantly training that he can just pull from, and uses them like cannon fodder.
Well,
Yeah, I'd rather
it's
be one of those guys myself, because then you have all this cool power and all these abilities, but people aren't like, oh, I gotta murder that guy. Like, you don't have all the Jedi's breathing down your neck all the time. They're just gonna see you and be like, who's that guy? It's like, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah. Like Dooku had an apprentice, which they talk about in the Clone Wars. I mean, Asajj Ventress is Dooku's apprentice, so she's technically there, right? Like she's not a Sith because she's not the apprentice to the Emperor, but she's you know, she's a bad guy. She's got red lightsabers.
Was Dooku ever considered a Sith? He
He
was
was
just
the
a count.
apprentice.
He didn't have the Darth title.
He was
Count,
Darth
Count
Plagueis or
Dooku.
Darth shit.
Plagueis the Wise.
He was something. He was Darth something.
Yeah, they
Um,
mentioned. I think they honestly mentioned it exactly once in that movie.
was he Sidious? Darth Sidious?
Sidious? Was that him? Okay.
Chat, if we have chat. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, you constantly get like this trickle down of everyone thinks they're gonna take over the boss, and so they have to have an but,
Kurt, run a Star Wars game for us where I can play a evil Jedi that's a Sith.
like what
I'll be
Set
I'll be
Heart?
an Ewok.
Like
I'll be
Set
an
Heart?
Ewok. Yeah, sure. That guy's fine. I want to be an Ewok though. I want to be evil force using Ewok with a lightsaber.
Something else. I did get a few because I did put out to the internet on my Facebook and in some discords that I'm in what people would love to hear about. Something else someone mentioned was parsecs. The fuck. So yeah. So if you've heard the quote, the Millennium Falcon finished the Kessel Run in under 12 parsecs, you may be asking yourself, what is a parsec?
And
It
why
is
do
a-
I care?
It is a unit of distance, not speed.
Correct.
And you probably don't.
Don't worry. Don't overthink it. Some writer didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
So we can approach this question from two ways. One can be
It was wrong or overthinking it.
science literacy in the 70s and didn't know that a parsec was a unit of distance. a measurement of
Congratulations,
distance.
you won.
Or we can approach it from the side of the Legends EU, where someone fucking explained it. Because the Kessel Run has to go past a bunch of black holes and things. And so the closer you can bring your ship to all these gravity wells, cuts time off of the Kessel Run because your ship has to be fast enough and you have to be a good enough pilot to pull out of these gravity wells. And so by shortening the distance traveled, you are making the trip more dangerous and increasing the time in which you
Well, even without gibberish black hole explanation,
Such bullshit.
travel in space is never in a straight line, just by definition, because
Yeah.
you're always dealing with gravity, random things, even anything. So the fastest way to travel things, you can probably make adjustments, and so. But yes, it was definitely a writer's error, and we should just move on.
Yeah. It's fine. It happens.
yeah, just let it go.
Exactly.
Something else someone mentioned, and I had to look this one up. Let me see if I can find the name here. What is the best dish ever created by Chef Gourmand? Yeah, I had to Google that.
What the fuck?
Who is Chef Gourmand?
So if you were unfortunate enough to catch the wonderful holiday special,
Oh
Ah.
dear God!
Okay.
there is a cooking show that happens where Chef Gourmand is a four-armed sort of what's the famous chef lady?
Julia Child.
The four-armed Julia Child's analog, and she is making Bantha Surprise. So I assume that is probably the best dish she ever created, but she does at one point reference Bantha Roast, or Bantha Rum. So one of those two probably, since those are the only ones in the world that she's ever mentioned.
Oh.
So there you go.
Banthas. What'd they ever do to her?
Well, I mean, I guess they're like bison, right? You
Aren't
eat
that?
'em.
Isn't that the thing from the ice planet or something?
No.
they're
That's a tauntaun.
Those are-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, banthas are the big, like, bison-looking things.
They
or
look like,
Ah.
they're
elephants
like an
with horns.
elephant with tusks.
Yeah, they look like a fuzzy
I mean,
elephant.
elephants have tusks. But like,
I've literally watched the first 3 movies, like probably maybe twice ever.
They're like mammoth-looking things.
yeah.
Got it.
Do we have any more questions from the chat, Kurt? Or
Uh,
from the...
That's all I had. A few other things about stuff that I'm forgetting. Oh, somebody wanted to know if the light side was organized with a teachable way of life, and so was the dark side. Why did Greys not have their own temples with teachings? Dude, I don't know.
Congratulations,
That's a tough one.
you won.
Because they would be too powerful.
Yeah, probably because they were. I think they were sort of exiled, right? Like the light side and the dark side both were trying to say, "Oh, you can't have any of the other side. The other side is terrible." So they're gonna constantly try to get rid of the gray. But that's
They're libertarian Jedi.
yeah. They may just be like opposed to a way of teaching, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about Grey Jedi. I know Ahsoka becomes a Grey Jedi, which is fucking awesome.
Which you would know who Ahsoka is if you watch Clone Wars.
Or Rebels. They brought her into Rebels.
Yeah, but you gotta watch the first one to... Anyway.
Yeah.
So you care.
So go do that.
Okay, but before we kind of wrap up here for the day, let's go a little bit into Star Wars gaming, the RPG, different Star Wars RPGs there are out there, because there are a few.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into tabletop stuff, there's a bunch of RPGs out there for you. There's the old Star Wars D6, which I don't recommend, mostly because I haven't played it.
It's terrible. Just moving on.
Yeah. There is the new oh shit, what's the name of the company? I just lost my train of thought. The ones with the shitty dice.
With the weird dice?
Fantasy Flight, FFG. There is the new Fantasy Flight Star Wars, which uses dice with chicken entrails on them, which cause you to come up with negative outcomes on positive rolls or positive outcomes on negative rolls. But they don't give you any like inclination on when you should or should not be rolling the dice. So most of the time, if you're coming from something like D&D and you're using perception checks as stalling tactic, you are going to end up having to bullshit your way into whatever the fuck the dice say should happen. So yeah, the game does not do enough to teach you when not to roll to have that mechanic. So don't recommend. If you are familiar with Happy Jack's RPG podcast or Diablo and Old Blizzard, you might know the name Bill Roper. He created a hack of Traveler, which is Star Wars Traveler, which I have run several times and is very nice. It runs like a dream. His random tables for career creation and things like that are pretty choice. For instance, if you play a commando and your race is Ewok, you have a chance to gain 1d6 stormtrooper helmets. So yeah, I've actually run it several times. I ran an all game at a few cons, and it went pretty friggin' well. But I think there's another Star Wars game, but I don't recall.
Brad is...
There's a bunch of the model ones, right? Like the
tabletop war game.
Oh
Isn't
yeah,
there one called like Force and Destiny?
TIE Fighter. Huh?
Isn't there one called like Force and Destiny, or is that just one of the source books?
Force and Destiny is one of the source books for the Fantasy Flight games. And those, don't get me wrong, those source books are fucking beautiful. Like, even when I run different systems, I use the maps and pictures from Fantasy Flight Games books because they're really pretty. But just that system, I can't take it. So it's dice, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah,
Dice don't make any sense.
And
They're all, like, proprietary icons, and you have like the two bangs and the one bang, and then there's like a red one and a yellow one.
and two of the icons I think look really similar, if I recall.
Yeah.
One look like a penguin.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's like
We were
I don't
like,
know.
penguin or feet?
It's like
What'd
an
you roll?
explosion or
they had a game they made and they decided not to launch it, but they had already made millions of thousands of these dice.
oh my god, right?
And so they're like, well, fuck it, we're just gonna.
Yeah, they made a game called Exploding Penguins.
All their games use these stupid dice. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Because they got Legend of the Five Rings. They got L5R.
Oh, they
So,
did. Okay, so that's
yeah,
the one.
and they're
Those
releasing
guys were running the beta with the weird dice and whatnots.
yeah, and they're releasing it with the bullshit dice. So
Okay. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, there's always X-Wing if you don't want to play an RPG.
yeah. There's X-wing is the
That looks
the-
cool.
X-wing is the I don't play enough war games, but it's the small groups of ships. You have like 2 to 6 ships in your
Squadron.
in your squad, like
Squad.
squad base, and then Armada is the big. You have a bunch of ships. They also have. There's another game that's it's sort of a cross between RPG and board game, where you have a character, it levels up, you go through missions which are dictated by the book. It's sort of like the Wrath of a Chardalon D&D games,
Mm.
where there's like missions in a book, and you just follow the mission, and the enemies are on like they have like AI where they their actions are dictated. So that one's pretty fun too.
And then of course on the video game front, even though it is a terrible MMO by standards, I still think SWTOR is an incredible experience,
Yeah.
just for the leveling, the story,
So,
and
so good.
Had a lot
Yeah.
of fun with it. We were
I
playing.
actually went back and played it, I don't know, about a year ago. Started a new character and was able to level the entire way through the game just doing the story missions and not any of the superfluous go kill 6 bears and collect their asses
Yeah.
and wonder why this bear doesn't have an ass.
You could literally install the game, ignore that it's massive multiplayer altogether, and play it as if you're playing a SWTOR game, like a
Yeah.
single player SWTOR game. Ignore everyone else, and just
And
play the
have
game
a
and do the story.
great time of it. It
Yeah.
is
Though to be fair,
story is
there's
amazing.
not really that many people to ignore.
Yeah, it's not like it's they don't have a huge base anymore.
But
My
So we keep
favorite
saying
moment from that.
SWTOR. What does that stand for again?
Star Wars Tales of the Republic. It is a BioWare's MMO. It's probably pushing 7 years old by about now.
When did we stop calling it sweater?
The Old Republic.
I stopped calling it sweater when you guys stopped understanding what sweater meant
Oh,
and
okay.
asking me every time, "What do you mean by sweater?"
Okay.
So basically,
I
when we
just
stop
called it-
playing.
Yeah.
I just called the MMO Tour because I called the old Xbox game SWTOR.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the difference was I think it was the MMO is Tales of the Republic, and the other ones were
I don't think
The
it's
Old
Tales-
Republic.
no, it's Tales of the Old Republic. Sorry.
it's Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah.
So I have to ask the question: is the Star Wars dancing game on Xbox One part of canon?
No, well, that's the thing. I don't think the games are technically.
Oh, okay.
They may be. I mean,
They're very fun though.
I couldn't find anything. There's probably somewhere that says, but I didn't find anything that said like SWTOR is canon.
So Battlefront 2 is not canon. Like loot boxes aren't canon. Just so I'm clear.
That I'd have to check. I'd have to see if loot boxes.
Okay, well we are out of time. Matt's not ask if we have an outro.
Hey, Gidget, do we have an outro?
No, we don't. We don't have an outro.
I
All
think
right.
that's what she was getting at.
Matt's not here for me to ask that question.
I can almost assure you, for consistency's sake, he probably has not.
Yes. Okay.
Well, before we cut, I do want to say if you're watching this and you'd like to contribute or ask questions of us or talk to the show in any way, we have an email. You can send us pixelscandal@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter, pixel_scandal on Twitter, or you can go to pixelscandal.com and learn a little bit more about the cast.
Yeah. And maybe, just maybe, we might come up with a topic more than one day in advance.
Hey, you know what? I did this 2 days ago. So
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, absolutely. Well, catch us on May 25th for our next Dungeon World game, and tomorrow at 4 p.m. for Monster Prom.
yeah, we're gonna figure out how
Not
to
to
make.
be confused with monster porn, because Twitch won't allow it.
Nope, we cannot do monster porn on Twitch.
It will be Monster Prom.
It's damn close though.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys.
Later, everybody.
Bye, internet.